host.
A bright morning to everyone, and welcome to today's very special online MediaCon launching the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. I am Queen Sarneda, your host for today's event, brought to you by Sun Life Asset Management Company, or SLAMC for short. On behalf of the SLAMC family, we would like to thank all of you for spending this morning with us. And over the past couple of years, we've seen the Philippines confront the pandemic, and despite daunting challenges, our economy remains to be the most dynamic in Asia. As our recovery gets us back on track, we've also seen the continuing growth of investment options available for anyone who wishes to grow their money. Slamsy hopes that more Filipinos will take on investing as they realize that it is no longer the domain of the affluent, but the path for those who aspire to achieve their financial goals. Given Sun Life's mission to help individuals and companies attain financial security and live healthier lives, SLAMC has two speakers for our event today to help us better understand the global financial markets and how this can align with an investor's financial goal or purpose. And on that note, we would like to officially open today's program by hearing from SLAMC's president, Mr. Gerald Bautista. Good morning, JB. You have the
Hi,
floor.
good morning. Thank you, Queens. Bright greetings to our media guests, and it's with great pleasure to welcome you today, as it's been quite some time since we gathered for an online media conference. It is much delight to reconnect with you as we launch our brand new fund, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. This launch is not just about business; it's about Sun Life Asset Management's commitment to be a partner to prosperity for Filipino investors. This new fund isn't just about financial opportunities, it's also about diversifying, finding client centric bright ways to help investors achieve their financial goals. Now, SLAMC endeavors to make wealth creation more inclusive as we believe that investing should be made accessible to everyone who wants to grow their money and, of course, expand to the global markets. Now, early last year, for SLAMC's peso denominated Global Investment Fund, we've lowered the account opening requirement from 50,000 pesos to 10,000 pesos, and for top ups, from 10,000 to 1,000 pesos, making investing more affordable and inclusive for our investors. The new Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund marks the 17th fund in SLAMC's array of mutual funds. It's among the six globally invested fund offerings and the second peso denominated globally invested fund. Our new fund is also our second feeder fund, and we're very proud to partner with BlackRock, one of the largest and most reputable asset management companies globally. Today, we will introduce to everyone our new fund together with a brief update on the global financial markets, which will help you better understand how excited we are on our bright new offering. Now, before I leave you for the rest of our program, please allow me to express my appreciation to our valued media partners for attending our special online event. And once more, a bright welcome to everyone. Maraming salamat po, our dear media friends.
Thank you very much, JB, for that warm introduction. We have about 20 of our media partners tuning in this morning, and we would like to encourage everyone to use the Q&A pod found at the bottom of your screens at any time during the presentation, and we shall address them later during the open forum. Now, shown on your screen is what is in store for us today, and with that, let's proceed. We shall be continuing our program with a global perspective, and it is with much delight that I introduce our first speaker. And this gentleman is the head of equities and global funds of Sun Life Investment Management and Trust Corporation, and has over 15 years of investment management experience. He is also responsible for the formulation of investment strategy and portfolio construction for all of Sun Life Philippines offshore fund of funds and feeder funds. These actively managed global funds have consistently taken awards, and the more recent of which were from the CFA Society Philippines Best Managed Fund of the Year Awards. In 2021, the Sun Life Prosperity Dollar Advantage Fund was awarded as the best balanced dollar fund, and this year, 2023, the Sun Life Prosperity World Voyager Fund was awarded as the best managed equity dollar fund. So it is with much excitement that we welcome here on our virtual stage our first speaker, Mr. Miko Vergara. Great to have you, Miko. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Queens. Well, I'd like to say hello and thank you to all our friends in the media. I'm happy to be speaking with you now. I hope you find the presentation interesting and interactive and useful. Can we go to my first slide, please? All right, so it's been a very exciting, I'd say, past 3 years, no? So on the left-hand chart, just showing you returns over the past 12 months. And on the right side, we're showing you some of the earnings forecast for 2024. So in terms of returns, Europe's done a fantastic job in spite of the headwinds, the challenges with Ukraine and Russia conflict going on. If you notice, the bar chart I'm showing has two colors. One is blue, one is orange. So blue is the 1 year return, total return terms. And then the orange bar below it, it's the volatility for that market. So you can see you have to weigh the markets you're going to invest in based on the volatility you expect to experience while holding those assets. So at the top again you have Europe, at the bottom you have China, Philippines, and global fixed income. But overall, we're quite happy that risk assets have sort of re-entered the fray and are back on the radar screens for global investors. So in terms of earnings, we're more excited for that for next year. So this year's been a story of multiple expansion as opposed to outright earnings growth. So you can see South Korea, you can see Taiwan on the left-hand side of the right chart. They're expected to post very, very punchy earnings, supporting the narrative for a return of appetite for key places like Asia ex Japan. And then if you could go to the next slide, please. All right, it's a bit busy, but I want to show you several inflection points the team is watching. So at the upper part, this chart refers to risk appetite because it looks at growth expectations, cash levels, and equity allocations from global investors. You can see it the graph tipping upwards, right? So it's implying that people are expecting better growth coming up, people are deploying cash, and people are incrementally ramping up their equity exposures. At the bottom left-hand part of the slide, we're showing you what people are expecting globally, what people are expecting or want companies to do with their cash balances. So you can see the dark blue line. We want to highlight that right now, the key priority or expectations from shareholders and investment managers is for companies to increase their capital spend. So this would be reinvesting back into the business. This would be ramping up capacity and bandwidth, on the expectation that growth will be there to back these investments. So on the upper right-hand chart, I'm showing you the correlation between the S&P and a survey of investors expecting a stronger economy in the US. So you can see that the S&P return has moved ahead of the people expecting stronger economy in the US. But we expect that to catch up. And then on the bottom chart, we're showing you that the expectation for investors looking at a global recession has improved. So previously, people, for the most part, broad recession was the base case, but incrementally we're seeing people becoming more bullish, and that global recession may not happen. So could we please go to the next slide? All right, so we're looking at data for the S&P here. So we're looking at operating earnings, so not net profits, but operating earnings. So on the right-hand chart, we're showing you that how do earnings normally come about? Either it's sourced from the top line, or it's sourced from margin expansion. So in 2023, we're looking at improvements in margin, not at the expense of revenue. So revenues have fallen a bit from 4% on the average to about 3.1%, but that is supported and offset more by the margin expansion we're seeing for this year. So all told, I think it's a good situation for US companies in that top line is moving up and that companies' profitability per unit of earnings is also holding steady. So can we go to the next slide, please? All right. So just here we want to show the picture we want to talk about here is really about rates. So rates really moved markets over the past 3 years. So the Fed hiked very aggressively, and that put some pressure on companies wanting to refinance their loans, put some pressure on mortgage repayments for the normal households within within the US, within other countries. But what are the data points we're seeing now from the market? So if I could direct your attention to the upper right hand chart here, you can see the interest rate coverage ratio for companies in the US. It's actually at highs. And on the graph below it, we're looking at the household debt service ratio for families in the US. It's actually quite low. So it's undemanding. So on both metrics, you can argue that the move down in rates, the potential move down in rates by the Fed, should be supportive of both the private sector and US households, thus, creating a situation where we may expect a soft landing from that part of the world. So can we go to the next slide, please? All right, we can skip this one first. This more interesting. All right, so I'm showing you a return quilt from JP Morgan. I think what we want the audience to really take away from this is there's really no way to pick what asset class will be the best, in a given year. Sometimes for active managers such as us, it's really avoiding the asset class which is the worst, more than it is picking the asset class which is the best. Because if you think about it, clients are paying active fees, and in a market where returns are negative, they're still shouldering the cost of those active fees. So us being successful, I think it's an outcome of us being able to produce or put together multiple assets which support diversification and aren't driven by the same dynamics in order to succeed. So if we go to the next slide, right? So we all know stocks offer clients the most potential for returns. But if you look at the left part of this slide, no, the green bar on the 1 year, it highlights over on a small sample size what investors can also expect from stocks. They are the most high up there in terms of returns, but they also create the most risk of downward moves for portfolios. So what's the solution for that? Myself, I like managing balanced funds because it allows me to have more assets at my disposal. I can pull one lever for equities, I can pull another lever for bonds. And all in all, it supports the overall portfolio return. So that's what we want clients to think about. Having more assets creates better characteristics within your own portfolios. And on the next slide, something to think about even further. So on the bottom axis, we're showing you volatility. On the vertical axis, we're showing you annualized returns from 1989 to 2022. So you would expect, right, the client deserves or client expects high returns, but with low vol. So how would you achieve that? The portfolio would need to be in the upper left part of this overall area. So what portfolios do we expect within that area? So that would be something with equities at 30%, bonds at 40%, and alternatives rounding out the rest of it. So, it doesn't have to be 30, it could be 40. You can see an incremental increase in the vol, but you also see some incremental increase on the annualized returns. So that's, I guess, for my part in this program, it's really trying to show our investors it's not a one asset type, which will survive or which will be the best outcome for clients. It's really taking a lot of asset classes, putting them together in a model port that makes sense, and holding it because it meets your return criteria, and it meets your return objectives. So I think this is my last slide. I'll pass you back to Queens. Happy to take questions later for the remainder of the program. Thank you.
Thank you for that very insightful presentation, Miko. And I think, one thing that popped is really that asset class quilt, wherein it shows the diversification and that asset classes really do move in different ways, really. And if multiple assets are combined, that gives an advantage for better characteristics for one's portfolio over a single exposure on just one asset alone. So now up next is our next segment, the much anticipated launch of our 17th fund. And by the way, to our guests, Miko will be back later for our open forum. But now I'd like to introduce to everyone our next speaker to present to you our newest fund offering, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. Our speaker is the head of strategic development, marketing, and training for Sun Life Asset Management, and he has been with SLAMC since 2017 and has over 10 years work experience in product development and marketing for investment funds. Before his current post at SLAMC, our speaker was head of product development, where he was able to add 4 funds and widen SLAMC's range of mutual fund offerings. Prior to joining SLAMC, he has worked with BPI Asset Management and Trust Corporation and China Bank. Please welcome here on our virtual stage to talk about the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund, Mr. Dino Makasait. The floor is yours, Dino.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Queens. It is always a pleasure seeing familiar names and faces in events like this. Thank you very much again to our friends from the media for joining our product launch and MediaCon today. So today, SLAMC is marking a milestone as we are launching our 17th mutual fund aimed at providing our valued clients an additional outlet for their investment needs. Let me begin with SLAMC's 3 investment objectives for every investor, namely safety, income, and growth. Safety. These are investors oftentimes want to keep their money safe and secure. Thus, these are low risk, low return investments that are either capital secured or offer liquidity in case the client needs their funds. Second, income. These are investments that generate a stream of income for our clients. And of course, third, for other investors, growth. These are products that aim to grow your wealth through capital appreciation or gain in higher risk and higher return instruments. So what are these products that are available for these objectives? For safety, these are regular bank and time deposit accounts that are available for our investors. There are also government bonds and, of course, money market funds like our Peso Starter Mutual Fund. For income, clients may invest in direct bonds, shares that pay out dividends, rental income from property, and, of course, the growing market for income-paying funds. For growth, on the other hand, products include direct equities, ETFs, and equity or balanced mutual funds. Before I discuss with you the details of our new fund, allow me to share with you a little history of our funds. Over the more than 20 years of our mission to be a lifetime partner for Filipinos in their pursuit of prosperity, SLAMC has launched a suite of mutual funds that aim to address these 3 objectives of every investor. Again, safety, income, and growth. In 2000, we launched our flagship fund products, bond, balanced, and equity, aimed at addressing the growth objectives of our investor. In 2004 and 2017, we made available our favorite products, the Peso and Dollar Starter funds, for the safety or liquidity needs of our clients. From 2002 to 2005, we launched our Dollar Global Funds, Dollar Advantage, and Dollar Abundance Funds. In 2015, the Philippine Stock Index Fund was launched for clients who want to take advantage of the growth of the local markets. Back in 2016, the Global Funds was expanded to include fund of funds, namely Dollar Wellspring and World Voyager Funds. In 2019, the first target date funds, namely Achiever 28, Achiever 2038, and Achiever 2048 were introduced. At the peak of the pandemic in 2020, SLAMC launched the World Equity Index Feeder Fund. So before today's fund, the last fund that we had was back in 2020 at the peak of the pandemic. So this Equity Index Feeder Fund, which aims to track the performance of the global markets, has been one of our best-selling products. In fact, investors of the fund have been very satisfied with its returns, as it has already provided them with more than 40% return on investment since inception. Clients who invested in this fund this year are also very pleased, as the rally in the global markets has resulted in a year-to-date return of more than 14% as of yesterday, September 11, 2023. So today, Slamsy is proud to share with you our latest fund offering, expanding the investment options for our clients, our 17th mutual fund, our second feeder fund, and our first income-paying fund, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. Let's watch this short video.
What if you can make investing for the future even brighter as you enjoy potential income? Meet the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund, or WIF, a feeder fund where you can invest your pesos in a variety of global assets through the Target Fund's manager, BlackRock. The feeder fund seeks to provide consistent high income, potentially provides upside for capital gains, uses tactical asset allocation across stocks, bonds, and complementary sources of income. As you grow your money for the long term, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund potentially gives monthly cash payouts, giving you ways to enjoy income from your funds. Use it to pay off your monthly bills, treat yourself or your loved ones. Put it into savings or investments to make it grow even more. With only 10,000 pesos initial investment, you can open an account and make regular investments easily, starting at 1,000 pesos. So, what are you waiting for? Change your what ifs to whiffs of prosperity. Open a WIF account today. Only with your trusted partner for prosperity, Sun Life.
Exciting new fund for investors, right? Allow me to share with you in detail what is the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. The fund may be described as number one, a feeder fund, which will be investing 90% of its net assets in one target fund. The World Income Fund is also a global multi-asset fund. From Miko's earlier slides, it was mentioned that it is best also to diversify your investments from bonds to equities. So this fund will invest in the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund, which is a tactical fund investing in both global bonds and global equities. And then finally, the World Income Fund is an income-paying fund. It aims to pay out regular dividends or regular income in the form of cash on a monthly basis beginning December 2023. So the fund's primary investment objective is, number one, to pay out non-guaranteed monthly income, again in the form of cash credited to our clients' enrolled settlement account. And secondly, capital growth for the long term. So why should investors invest in the World Income Fund? We are naming three. First, payout of monthly cash income credited to our clients' enrolled bank account. This fund will aim and target to pay out 4.5% to 5.5% net dividend to our clients. Again, this rate is non-guaranteed, and the first payout will be targeted to be by December 2023. Second, as mentioned, the second investment objective of the fund is potential capital growth via the global markets. And third and finally, the fund is available for only 10,000 pesos as minimum initial investment and 1,000 pesos for subsequent. Imagine if you want to go directly to BlackRock, you would be needing $100,000 to be able to access the BlackRock fund. So for this fund, we try to make sure that our clients can access the fund at a very affordable price starting at only 10,000 pesos. So in essence, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund, which is structured as a feeder fund, allows our clients to invest in the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund because the fund will invest 90% of its net assets in the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund. So next slide, please. The target fund shall invest in income-producing instruments. What are these instruments? These are cash, derivatives, equities, and preferred shares, and other income-paying or dividend-paying securities. So where does this fund fit in the risk spectrum of the suite of Sun Life Prosperity Funds? So the World Income Fund is for investors who are growth-oriented and who are finding a right balance of income and long-term capital growth. So it is somewhere in between pure equities. If you look at your screen, the aggressive funds, these are pure equity funds. And on the middle, it's the balanced fund, which are balanced fund and our target date fund. So it's in the middle of fixed income and equity securities. Next slide, please. This fund is structured as a unitized mutual fund, and clients who want a potential stream of income and long-term capital growth can use their Philippine pesos to invest in the World Income Fund. Again, the minimum investment amount is just 10,000 pesos. So this fund is targeted to the regular, investors in the Philippines. With it's only 10,000 pesos, and investors may add to their investments for as low as 1,000 pesos anytime, and our clients can already access the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund. So who is this fund for? The World Income Fund is for growth-oriented to aggressive investors who want to generate high income on their investment. The fund is for investors who want to receive regular monthly cash payouts for their short-term needs, maybe paying for utility bills, for their shopping. So the fund can, as it potentially pays out dividends on a monthly basis, our investors can use the payouts to pay for their utility bills or for their shopping needs. And then finally, the fund is for investors who want to grow their capital over the long term via global markets using their Philippine pesos. So our clients do not need to convert Philippine pesos to US dollars to be able to access this fund. Next slide, please. So why invest in funds that give out dividends? So kindly click. So when markets are tough, as shown on your screen, the chart shows the volatility of the target fund. It can go up, it can go down. Regular payouts can help our clients get by while waiting for the principal to grow. So investing in income-paying funds allows you to receive dividends. At the same time, there's a potential growth of your investment. Next slide, please. So allow me to share with you the historical cash payout simulation. Again, past performance does not guarantee the future results, and actual results may vary. And the figures shown on your screen are purely for illustration purposes. So say our clients invested 1 million pesos and the payout is monthly. Shown on your screen are the potential monthly payouts that the client could receive from an investment of a 1 million peso investment based on a 4.5% to 5% annual net dividend yield. So for the total payout for the 5.5 years shown on your screen is 252,000 from a 1 million investment. But again, this is purely for illustration purposes, and it's based on historical numbers. Next slide, please. So again, let's go back to SLAMC's 3 investment objectives for every investor, namely safety. What are our products that are available? The Peso Starter Fund and the Dollar Starter Fund. And today, we're introducing to you to address the income needs of our investor, the World Income Fund. Again, this fund, it can also address the growth needs of our investors, similar to the other growth products that we have, our equity funds, our World Equity Index Feeder Fund, our Achiever Fund. So World Income Fund may address the investment objective of our clients for income and growth. Next slide, please. I think I'm down to my last 2 slides. So if there's something that can describe the fund, it's a balance between capital growth and potential income payouts. And investing in funds that give out payouts is like having a basket collecting the fruits at the same time waiting for the tree to grow. Thus, if you're able to catch the video, it was a fruit of it was an orange tree bearing fruits at the same time the orange tree has been growing over the long term. So go for a fund that offers both investing for regular income and for capital growth. And then finally, to summarize this new fund, there are two things. Again, let me reiterate to you: income and growth. So to describe, the World Income Fund aims to potentially pay out monthly cash dividends credited to our clients' registered bank accounts with a range of 4.5 to 5% annually. But the payouts, the dividend payouts are done monthly. And of course, growth, because as mentioned by Nico, we have seen potential and good opportunities in the global market. So the World Income Fund can offer our clients both income and growth. So I guess that summarizes the new product that we're offering, and we're happy to take new questions. Maybe I turn you over first to Queens.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dino, for presenting to us information about the new fund offering, the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. And at this point, I would like to call back in Miko to join me and Dino for our open forum. Miko? Okay, Miko's in. So I'll let Dino rest first. And so obviously you know who's next. The first one in the open forum, and that's you, Miko. So earlier in your presentation, you've shown that, of course, global market sentiment was least bearish over a year ago, and that Europe and Japan performed very well versus volatility. What would it take for the other countries and regions to perform similarly?
Okay, so I think from the slide I showed a while ago, that was really equity centric. But if you think about it, other asset classes did well. No? So from your question, if it's equity centric, we need to see, I guess, the Federal Reserve really communicate to markets that they're done hiking. That will really, I guess, that will be the first domino, because right now everybody is just buying that TD, buying a 30-day, buying that long bond. These things offer very very good yields right now. So there's really low incentive for people to go buy the riskiest thing. They don't need it because very safe assets are putting out very attractive yields. So if you think about it, once market adjusts to Fed guidance, if the Fed moves down in terms of their rates, fixed income products we see in the market, their yields will also adjust to that. And that will sort of force us to look at other assets again. So equities, corporate bonds, maybe a little bit of the high yield bonds as well. No? So it's really Fed driven in that it requires them to sort of cut rates, normalize the market first, and then people will look at other asset classes again, not just in the US, in Europe, in Asia, Japan, other parts too.
Thank you for that, Miko. Now let's move on to Dino. Is the improving view on global markets the reason why SLAMC developed the World Income Fund, Deans?
Thanks for it, Queens. I think that's one of the reasons, but I'll answer your question using 3 Ps. Number one, the price of the fund, because the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund requires a higher minimum. I think I mentioned 100,000 pesos, but this World Income Fund, our clients can access the global markets using 10,000 pesos. No need to convert. Second, payout. Because there are potential payouts from the fund, this fund may address the investment needs of our clients. And then finally, product and prospect. As Miko mentioned, there's rosy prospects for the global markets. And as rates are expected to go down in the near term, medium to medium term, potential capital growth for the World Income Fund, because it invests both in bonds and equities, is good. No, so I guess it's a balance between accessing fixed income funds and equity funds. So again, the price is just 10,000 pesos, the potential payouts, and of course the product and prospect for the World Income Fund.
Follow-up question, Dino, though, with what you mentioned regarding the fund. So the primary objective of the fund is to pay out income direct to the client's pocket. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the second one would be capital appreciation or potential capital appreciation over time. Right.
Yes, that's correct. So again, the primary objective, income payout. So these are the fund is for clients who want to receive regular income on a monthly basis. For me, I'll use it to pay out my bills, maybe do a little shopping. So, but of course, like the video that was shown, there's a potential growth. You can receive the orange fruit, but the tree can grow over the long term.
Thank you for that, Dino. Now, how do you differentiate the risk classification of the World Income Fund vis-a-vis the other SLAMC funds? Just to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Back in 2020, we launched the World Equity Index Feeder Fund, which is a pure equity fund. This fund is a balance between fixed income and equity. So you get the best of both worlds. So if interest rates go down, there's potential price appreciation for fixed income outlets. At the same time, there's upside in equity. So it's for growth oriented who wants a balance between income and long-term capital appreciation.
Thank you for that, Dino. Now let's move on to Miko. Can you expound, Miko, further on the assets where the World Income Fund will be investing?
Okay, thanks, Queens, for the question. So like Dino said a while ago in his portion, it will buy preferreds, it will look at high dividend paying stocks. But maybe one way to describe it better for clients, right? This is a fund which has a weight within North America or the US of about 70%. But the interesting part about it, it's not sourcing that weight primarily from equities. So US fixed income has a bigger share relative to our other funds. So can you imagine, if you split that 70%, it's for the most part US fixed income and the balance US equities. So you're getting exposure to a market which has the most, I guess, one of the most participation in growth, in technology, in innovation, diba? But you're getting it also via fixed income. So you're not forgoing that participation. So for me, that's the interesting part about it. So maybe later, I don't know if there are other questions about it, but the way it's structured, it's very different from how the other Sun Life or SLAMC products are structured currently. And it doesn't give up, it's not at the expense of that participation in exciting sectors.
Thank you for that, Miko. Very well said. Now let's move on to the Q&A pod. And there's some questions here from our media partners. And the first one that I'd like to probably ask is to Dino. With World Income Fund or WIF, is it okay to put in a one-time big amount or do we need to invest regularly? Dino?
Okay, thanks for that question. Very interesting. But I guess I'd answer that it depends on the life stage you're in. Maybe I can answer for myself. I'd like to do regular investing because I'd like to think that I'm still young and I'm still have a long way to go and I'm building up my retirement egg. So maybe I do regular investing so that I can cost average at the same time because there's potential equity and FI market exposure. At the same time, I can get regular dividends from the funds. For clients who have the big amounts already, who are maybe near retirement, it's also okay to invest a lump sum amount so that you can get a higher potential income from the fund. So my straightforward answer is it depends on what life stage you're in and how much dispensable or investable amounts or cash that you have currently.
Thank you for that, Dino. Now there's another question for you right here. Average investors per year since 2020. That's the first question. And what if you don't pay out monthly, or what if the fund doesn't pay out monthly? Will that be okay? And lastly, the follow-up question would be on the setup of the account opening. No, can a joint fund or account be open for a wife and a husband?
That's for me, right, Queens?
Yes, that's for you.
Okay. So for the 4.5 to 5.5%, that's the annual yield that the World Income Fund is targeting to pay out to our clients. But remember that the fund just invests in the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund. So since that BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund has been launched, I think 2018, the fund has been regularly and consistently paying out dividends because the BlackRock Dynamic High Income Fund is investing in high coupon or dividend-paying securities such as high coupon bonds or preferred shares. So since the fund's inception in 2018, the fund has regularly paid out its dividend. And to answer your question, yes, our clients can open joint accounts with their husbands or their wives so that it's easily available as our regular mutual funds.
Okay, Dino. Now, there's a follow-up question right there. Can a joint account be opened for a husband and a wife for this account? For this
Yes,
particular fund?
yes. So it can be open. So if queens, you can open a World Income Fund account together with your husband, joint or a joint end account, and the monthly dividend payouts will be credited to your enrolled settlement bank account.
Which has the same name as the MF account.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Dino, for that clarification. Now, let's move on to Miko. There's a question right here. For you, do you see the BSP keeping the interest rates for the rest of the year? And when do you think BSP will cut the interest rates? And what factors would compel them to do so?
This is a really, really great question. So for me, the BSP has tended to move in line with the Fed. So it's a matter of them managing the peso. It's a matter of them managing liquidity within our market. So if we think that the Fed would potentially cut, I think consensus is looking at mid next year. I would expect the BSP to move, around that fulcrum. So it's really, they tend to move together. So I would look at the middle of next year as the starting point, or at least the base for that.
Thank you for that, Miko. Now, another question, back to Dino. We need to be able to confirm this. Is this a conservative or aggressive type of investment? And what would you recommend moving? And would you recommend, Dino, moving some funds from other SLAMC funds for diversification into this one?
Okay, thanks for the question. So very interesting. So in terms of risk profile, it's more the World Income Fund is neither the aggressive type because the fund has investments in equity securities. The fund has investment in fixed income securities and is exposed to fluctuations in the performance of the global equities and global bond market. So again, it's nearer the aggressive risk profile or the risk spectrum. And then what's the other question, Queens? Again, sorry. Would you recommend diversifying? So yes, definitely, because as Miko mentioned, it really depends on what is the expected yield or the risk profile of the investor. If you recall Miko's last slide, there are different asset allocations in the slide, and each type of asset allocation delivers a certain return for our clients, potential return for our clients. So as mentioned, there's no one investment type of investment. There's no one investment asset class that can address your investment needs. So it's really good for our clients to diversify to different kinds of securities. Thus, if you recall the history of the Sun Life funds, you have balanced equity bond as our flagship funds back in 2020. And over the years, we have developed more funds so to address the different needs of our clients. And of course, to diversify so that when one asset class does not perform well, there's a different asset class. And again, it really depends on the risk tolerance or the investment objective of our clients, going back to safety, income, and growth investment objectives.
Thank you for that very well said explanation, Dino. Now, let's move on. One question to you and then one final question to both of you. So Dino, again, most investors these days are just starting to recover from the impact of the pandemic with the goal of getting back on track with their financial goals. Now, how can you encourage them to invest in your new fund at this time?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So back in 2020, a lot of people asked me, Dino, why are you launching a World Equity Index equity fund at the peak of the pandemic? So if you look back, if you look at the history of the World Equity Index feeder fund, it has already provided more than 40% return to our investors over the past 3 years. So number one, for diversification, you can also invest in the World Income Fund. And of course, secondly, this is I think one of the most compelling reason why you should invest in the World Income Fund. You should expect monthly dividend payouts credited to your bank accounts starting December. But for me, I use those income or potential income streams to do my shopping or to pay a portion of my bills. So I guess that the payout really helps me get a regular stream of income for my bills and for my other expenses at home.
Dino, practical question. If the payout is actually getting credited monthly to my bank account, can I flow it back into the World Income Fund and just basically buy more units of it using the income?
So right now, the fund will be credited to your settlement account, but you have to manually add to the investment to your World Income Fund. But that does not prohibit you from investing in other funds. If you remember the video, you can also invest in Peso Starter Fund or our other global funds. So you can actually reinvest the dividends that you receive just in case you don't need the money. But for others, they invest really in these types of funds so that they can receive a regular stream of income.
Thank you for that, Dino. Now, before we conclude the event, let me go around the table and ask our speakers one final question. And if you can give me probably a phrase or one word, sige, up to you guys, to describe the relevance of the Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund, what would that be? Let's go with Dino first and then Miko. Go ahead, Dino.
Yeah, I guess mine is, as mentioned, a lot of times is the monthly payouts that our clients will receive. Again, the 4.5 to 5.5% is not monthly. That's not the rate on a monthly basis. That's the rate on an annualized basis. So don't expect 4.5% on a monthly basis. So it's the annualized rate that our clients can potentially get during the investment for their investment in the World Income Fund. So my short answer is payout that I can get from the World Income Fund.
Thank you for that, Dino. What about you, Miko?
But initially, I thought diversification, but I think the better one would be complementary because it's not a double up on something you already have. It's something which fits with the rest of your portfolio, assuming that you've signed on for global exposure risk. So if it meets that criteria, for me, it's complementary to the rest of the things you're already holding.
Thank you for that, Miko and Dino. And with that, thank you to our speakers for giving us these insights this morning. And more importantly, thank you to our valued media partners for participating in today's event. We look forward to your support in spreading the good news about the new Sun Life Prosperity World Income Fund. As a Filipinos' partner to prosperity, we hope that our new fund becomes a bright option for investors as they grow their money for their financial goals. With Sun Life Philippines' expertise and seasoned professionals on board, we are ready to assist the Filipinos in their investment needs through sound advice, innovative solutions, and world-class service. As we close today's event, we do look forward to our future events throughout the year, and we send you off with only the brightest wishes for your financial pursuits. In the meantime, please take care and stay safe. And this has been Queen Zornedo, and this event has been brought to you by Sun Life Asset Management. Thank you.